Hi guys, we're on skill 5. We are going to do some more talking about linear equations today. I'm focusing on mostly point-slope form, but not leaving the other ones in the past as well. So we're going to start with a review. Slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. If you look at that, I think you know this already. M is slope, b is y-intercept. That's old news. You guys have been doing that for a while. Standard form is the form maybe that you're least familiar with in the fact that we don't graph from standard form often, but we did work with standard form sort of in the last lesson when we were finding x and y intercepts. That is what standard form is most useful for, is finding an x-intercept and a y-intercept by plugging in zeros. The thing you need to know about a, b, and c are just that they are constants, so there are going to be numbers there for a, b, and c. Point slope form, y minus y1 is equal to m times the quantity x minus x1. This is the form you're going to use most often when you are plugging it in or creating the equation yourself. You are able to plug in any point from the line and then the slope, whereas slope-intercept form, you have to have a y-intercept. With point-slope form, you just need any point, and so it's a little bit more generic or broad, and so that's why it's a little bit more user-friendly. Okay, notice we call these all linear equations. We talked about the fact that your graph should always be lines. But let's talk about what the equations look like, and on your notes, you've got a list right there. It says, what makes an equation linear? No exponents higher than 1, right? So x squared would be quadratic, x cubed would be cubic, x to the 4th power would be quartic, right? Linear is when x and y are both to the 1st power. No square roots. Square root graphs have their own set of type of thing. No absolute values, no any other special characters like that. And then no variables in the denominator. Okay, variables in the numerator are acceptable, variables in the denominator are not acceptable. So underneath there it says circle the equations that represent a linear function. You can see the first one obviously has a square root symbol. The second one you have a y squared, so that's what makes it not linear. And then the very last one, you have an x squared, and that also makes it not linear. So you should be able to see and understand what's going on. We've got two main things we need to do today. We are going to take a slope and a point, plug it into point-slope form and change it. And then we're going to take 2 points and change it. I almost forgot. Go ahead and grab your whiteboards because I have one that I want you to try. This is going to create or cause you to be a touch creative, so think a little bit about this. It says write an equation that is linear, write an equation that is not linear. Go ahead and pause the video and give the students a chance to write a linear and not linear equation. Okay, I am back. You have a lot of different options. Linear equations, y equals 3x plus 7, y equals x, y equals 9x minus 100, whatever you wanted to write. Nonlinear, you would have to have like an x squared in there, or a y squared, or a square root, or y equals 5 over x. That's not allowed. You can't have an x in the denominator, so anything like that would work. All right, let's go back to your notes. Now we are ready to jump in. Sorry about that. It says write an equation given a slope and a point. So I gave you directions. You're going to write the equation in point-slope form. Then you're going to convert it into slope-intercept. It seems very obvious to me that you would go into point-slope form because notice you're giving a slope and a point, so you plug it into point-slope form. Okay? So your point is 3, 5. Your slope is 8. Again, if it's helpful, when we did the slope lesson, I encourage you to do this. You can label these points. This would be x1 and y1, if that helps you put it in the right order. So y minus y1, so y minus 5, is equal to m, so the slope is 8, and then x minus x1, so x minus 3. Okay? Y minus 5 is equal to 8 times the quantity x minus 3. Then it says it's asking you to convert that into slope-intercept form. So that is going to take some work to do. Those parentheses should clue you into the fact that you're going to go ahead and distribute. So 8x minus 24. And then you need to get the y by itself. So you're going to add 5 to the other side, and you get an answer of y equals 8x minus 19. Okay. Go on to number 2. Anytime you see zeros, that should always make you happy. It should make life a little bit less complicated. So y plus 9, it's minus a negative 9, so y plus 9 is equal to 1 times the quantity x minus 0. When you distribute that 1 times x is x, and 1 times 0 is 0, so please don't even write that in there. Just get rid of that completely, and you just have a x. If you have a 1x, that's fine, or just an x. And then you're going to subtract your 9 to the other side. So x minus 9. X minus 9. Okay? Fractions should not intimidate you. I know you're going to have some fractions in your homework today. It is all doable. It is okay. Y minus your y value, so y minus 10, is equal to 1/2 times the quantity x minus 4. X minus 4, that's your x value. You're going to go ahead and distribute that 1/2. 1/2 times x is just 1/2 x. 1/2 times 4, you can do the work. It's 1 over 2 times 4 over 1. If you need to go ahead and write that out, you would get 4 over 2, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. One's positive, one's negative, so minus 2. You're then going to add 10 to the other side, so you get plus 8. And again, one last example where you have another 0 in there. 8 comma 0, m is equal to negative 3. Y minus 0, because that's your y value, is equal to negative 3, your slope, times x minus 8. Distribute the negative 3, so negative 3x plus 24, right? Negative 3 times negative 8 is a positive 24. And the left side just becomes y, because y minus 0 is just y. Okay, go ahead and find your whiteboards. I've got a couple of problems I want you to try. So it says, write the equation. Your final answer should be in slope-intercept form. So you're given a point, and you're given a slope. And I want you to plug it into point slope and change it into slope intercept. Go ahead and pause the video and give the students some time to work on that problem. Here are your solutions. So y equals 9x minus 47. And your other answer is just y equals 8. So you can see those and check that work. Okay, go ahead and go back to your notes, please. And we've got the second type of problem that we're going to work on, which is I am going to give you 2 points, and you need to find the work that we just did. So here's a couple of steps. Find the slope. We practiced that in the lesson before this one. If you need to write it in, slope formula, m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So find your slope. Plug it into point slope form. Now you've been given 2 points, so it doesn't matter which point you pick either one, and then convert it into slope intercept form. Okay, so again, find your slope first, pick either point, plug it into point slope form, and then change it into slope intercept. All right, so let's go ahead and do the first couple together. Number 1, to find slope, negative 4 minus 0 over negative 3 minus 3. Negative 4 minus 0 is negative 4. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. Reduce that. 2 negatives make a positive, so 2/3 is your slope. Then you can pick a point. You can pick 3, 0, or you can pick negative 3, negative 4. I always am going to pick the point that has a 0. It is going to make my life easier, so I would recommend you do that. Y minus 0 is equal to 2/3 minus 3. Oh, sorry, 2/3 times the quantity x minus 3. Y minus 0 on the left-hand side just becomes y. Take that 2/3 and distribute it. 2/3 times x is 2/3 x. And 2/3 times a negative 3, again, that's 2/3 times 3 over 1. So you would get 6 over 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. So y is equal to 2/3 x minus 2. Okay. Number 2, again, from the day before, you're going to find the slope. So negative 4 minus 0 over 3 minus a negative, so negative, sorry, let me say that again. 3 minus a negative 3, so 3 plus 3 over 6. And reduce that, so negative 2/3. Again, I'm going to pick the point that has a 0 in it. Oh, I didn't pick the point that had a 0 in it. I lied. Never mind. I made myself do more work. I picked 3, negative 4. So y plus 4 is equal to negative 2/3 x minus 3. If you go ahead and pick negative 3, 0 and do the work, you should end up with the same answer. So you can check it if you did. Let's see. So y plus 4 is equal to negative 2/3 x. Negative 2/3 times negative 3. We actually just did that right above this one, so we already know that the answer is going to be a 2. A negative times a negative makes that a positive 2. You're going to subtract the 4 to the other side, so y is equal to negative 2/3 x minus 2. I know there's one more example on there. I'll go ahead and quickly show it to you, but I am going to go ahead and get you to a different whiteboard problem because I want to see if you guys can do this work on your own. There are 2 problems for you guys to work on. Go ahead and pause the video and have the students work on that. And here are your solutions. So you should get y equals 3/2 x minus 3, and you should have gotten y equals 2/3 x minus 2. All right, let's go back to your notes. Yes, you can do story problems with these. So that's where we're going to end for our lesson today, is with that story problem. Okay, so the first story problem, the temperature of a liquid cools 4 degrees every minute. After 5 minutes, the temperature of the liquid is 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Write the equation that best models the temperature of this liquid, y, after x minutes. So that gives you x and y. So x is time, y is temperature. So that should help you out with that. It says find the slope. The slope of the line, notice it says that the temperature cools 4 degrees every minute. So it is going down 4 degrees, so that's why it's a negative 4 as a slope. And then for your point, remember they told you it's minutes, comma, temperature. And so you take the set of information they gave you. After 5 minutes, the temperature is 175 degrees. So your point is 5, 175. That's the hard work. That's the new stuff that you haven't had to do, is identifying the slope and the point. Now, it's what we were doing before. You're going to take it, plug it into point slope, and then change it into slope intercept. So y minus 175 is equal to negative 4 times the quantity x minus 5. You're going to distribute the negative 4. You're going to add the 175. Y is equal to negative 4x plus 195. Okay. Number 2. 6 2-foot tall pine trees were planted. They have grown at an average rate of 34 feet per second. Write a linear model that gives the height of the tree in terms of the number of years since it was planted. So y equals, this one is a little bit different. You can go right into slope-intercept form. If you don't want to, you can go and plug it into point slope, but it'll eventually become this. The reason is that you know that its starting point is 2. It starts at 2 feet. That is your y-intercept, your starting point. So you can start there. It's growing at a rate of 3/4 per foot per year, so you can go ahead and know that that is your slope, and because it's growing, you know that you can go ahead and make that a positive slope because it's growing. So y is equal to 3/4 x plus 2. Okay, last one, it says that the water level of a river is 34 feet, starting point, right? And it is receding at 1/2 foot per day, so negative, it's going down. So y is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 34. The follow-up question is the new part for that one. In how many days will the water level be 26? Notice you're letting days, which is time, be x, which means that feet would be y. So you put 26 in for feet and solve the equation, and you get an answer of 16 days. That's all I have for you. Good luck on your work.